Welcome to the Business Hub.
Business in Nigeria. It started as
Hello, viewers. How are you all doing? My name is Ukela Prince, and I'm glad to welcome you today again to the show. I am moving forward with my beloved brother and our friend, the financial expert himself, who is into building black wealth for the North America. And he's no less a person than Mr. Isreal Iyamu. Israel, I celebrate you.
Thank you.
Let me shake you again. The more you shake people who have money, more money comes to you. Let me shake you another way.
Okay.
And then I shake.
It's transferable.
It's all right. So, guys, that's it. So, what you respect is what you attract. So, it's the philosophy I believe in. So, and it's great. So, last time we were able to discuss few things on the background, your background on the financial sector and all that. And today we will be talking about financial foundation. Financial foundation. It's like building a house.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a huge topic.
Yeah, which topic?
Yeah.
So why is it important to have, like we say, solid foundation, financial foundation, similar to like building a house, right?
Yeah.
So why is that important?
Yeah, it's very important. I'm not a civil engineer, but I can tell you clearly that, at my age, I must have involved in one structural building or the other, but we're not talking about building yet. The building we're talking about is financial foundation, the financial foundation.
Yeah.
So it's like building a house, If you want to build a solid foundation, a house, whether it's a bungalow or skyscraper, you need a solid foundation. I'm a believer, and Christ talked about a man that built his house on a rock. When the storm of life came, the house did not shake. But the one that built it on the sand, great was the fall. So that alone, my viewers, is very important if we understand how to go about it. Most of us that are immigrants, we work very hard. But the challenge is that we don't exactly know how to prioritize. Financial foundation gives you a clear understanding of how to prioritize. And the base of that foundation is protection. We have 5 layers or 4 layers.
So we call that the components?
The base, yes, that's the component of the financial foundation now. So the base of that foundation, just like building a house, is the foundation, is the protection. Why do we say protection? If you want to pause a little bit and think, we have relations who sometimes they fall ill, they are faced with one kind of critical illness condition or the other, or they are involved in accident or some kind of disability.
Yeah.
I've seen cases where people, they go into the hospital only to come out diagnosed of cancer. The rates, the number of people that are diagnosed of cancer alone, they have 25 critical illness condition that has been listed as critical illness. Cancer, those lungs, whatever, bipolar and all that. There are so many, 25 of them, that is categorized as critical illness condition.
Okay. Now, because of our time, now we are looking at the components.
Yeah.
So these components, are they in an order?
Yes, it's going to be in an order.
They're supposed to be in an order.
Yes.
So if they're in an order, can you let us in? Let's have that flow. And why are they, in that order? Okay.
Just like I said, the foundation is protection. So that's, for protection, you have to cover for in case of any disability, illness, or by way of death.
That's component 1.
That's component 1, protection. On top of that protection is debt management.
Debt management.
Debt management. You remember we're talking about people that the credit card and line of credit issue. Right. People just sink themselves into debt. And mortgage is one major debt. Yeah. The first people start building their borrowing appetite by use of credit card. And so when the banks are calling you, they are calling you to increase your credit limit. And they are encouraging you to increase more your borrowing appetite. Because that's how they make their money. So they don't care how you survive. And if you don't know how to use it, you will sink deep into the debt. So debt management is the next layer on top protection. So if we want to help somebody with debt, we start from the smaller debt to the bigger debt. Or sometimes they have debt consolidation. It depends on emotional attachment to what. I mean, if somebody that is really deep, there's a way we help them to take them gradually out of debt. So people cannot go out of debt all their life. Then on top debt.
Some people say that, if you're in debt, it means you're doing well.
Yeah, if the debt is generating income for you. If the debt is, like I said, they are good debts.
Good debt.
Yeah, if the debt is, you're using it to generate more income, there's a good one. But if it's borrowed for consumer, for consumption, then there's problem. Yeah, you are sinking more into debt, and you just be working for the bank. So people work very hard, but they live paycheck to paycheck. From my experience, clients that I've dealt with, I've seen clearly that the debt issue on debt alone is a major factor, because what you are paying back to the bank is huge. Can you imagine you having a debt of, the rate of return is 29% for a credit card, for example. If you don't pay up before the time they start calculating it, that means you are paying 29%.
Okay, before we lose this now, component 1 is protection.
Protection, that's the foundation, very important.
Talked about the component 2,
debt management. Yeah.
So component 3.
So component 3 has to talk about emergency fund. On top of that debt management is emergency fund.
Oh.
I mean, remember the statistic I mentioned of people in Canada, they are just $200 away of being broke. So people cannot wait till the end of the month. They live paycheck to paycheck. And if you don't have emergency fund, there's a problem. What do we mean by emergency fund? Somebody should be able to have at least 3 to 6 months of your paycheck. It's emergency. We call it emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of your paycheck. That's the range. That's the calculation. If you're earning $5K in a month, for example, you're supposed to have at least 3 to 6 months of that. So 5 times 3, that's a minimum. Between 3 and 6 months of that, in case of emergency. I mean, emergency comes anytime. Could be as a result of broken down vehicle. Could be as a result of leakage or whatever. So any kind of thing can come. I mean, your child is sick or whatever. However, in terms of sickness and disability and some of those things, if you have that proper foundation, which is the base, which is protection, that can easily take care of that. So emergency fund is very important. I mean, living patient to patient, if you are disciplined. Some people say it's not possible. No. It's just that they treat everything as expense. That's the issue. Then the top of that is investment. That's the top. Do you know what? So, most of us in the black community, we concentrate from the top. It's like we are building our house from the top. If you have this skyscraper here, this building that we are at, for example,
yes,
and somebody tells you that building was built from the roof
to the bottom,
I don't think you won't stay there. There's no way you will stay there.
No.
So it's typical.
BCCTV will run away.
Yeah, I mean, that one is a recipe for disaster. So a lot of us, including the speaker, we are just because of what I know, I'm trying to change that pattern. So we should deliberately live to change those kind of patterns so that we have a better financial foundation.
So the top, at the topmost,
is investment.
Investment.
Yes.
Is that number 5?
No, that's the fourth one.
The fourth one.
That's the top one.
So we have component 1, which is protection.
Protection on the base.
Component 2, we talked about debt management.
Debt management.
Component 3, we talk about
emergency fund.
Emergency funds. Yeah. And then component 4, investment.
Yeah.
Is there a 5th one?
No, not for now, no 5th one. Maybe we'll invent one.
Really?
And talking about investment, so people think that their savings and checking account is investment. That's not investment.
What's the danger
in
starting from the top?
Okay. Just imagine.
In the practical way.
Yeah, practically. I mean, just like a building, right? Viewers, just like building. If you build it from the top, that means you've not followed the injunction of even Christ in the first place. That you should build your house on the solid rock, the house will definitely crumble when there are issues. So a man that has, for example, that person is making effort to save. He's actually making effort, and he wants to invest. Where he keeps where he keeps the investment now is another topic of its own. If the investment is beating inflation or is below inflation or is being a place where it's taxed now, there's an issue. In Canada, they have accounts that are taxed now, tax deferred, and tax advantage. I mean, if you want to ask me, which of the three will you want to be? Is it not the advantage one? So, I mean, just imagine somebody that is having an investment in a bucket that is not beating inflation. Then something happened. He becomes sick. Let's assume the person have one of those critical illness diagnosed. The first thing that he will do is to dip into his investment. That's what he was saving at as his investment nest, maybe for retirement. Because it starts from the top, it doesn't have the base, which is protection. It means that that person is going to dip his hand into his investment. And in no time, he's going to go broke because it's going to start dipping. It's not working. Money is not coming from anywhere. Bills, we live to pay bills. The bills will continue. That car you are driving, there's insurance. The phone you are holding, bills. Maybe you have even a phone for 3 of your children or 4. It's hitting your account every day. Right. The rent is coming or the mortgage. Those things continue. Even when you die, it will continue. So it's not a matter of God forbid. So the best thing is to have that aspect that will cushion that. So the question I usually ask a lot of people, viewers, is that what is your value today? You can place a value on yourself today. Can you say you want to be $500,000 value or $1 million? You can do that today. You ask me how. But if you start from the top, things like that can happen, and it has happened a lot.
But we are almost out of time. Now, I am looking at, why are we calling it financial foundation if we have the roof on it? By the roof, I mean investment.
Yes.
On this component,
yes,
as part of the component.
Yeah, it's like a structure, right?
Yeah. So the foundation is down, and we have
no, yeah. So, building a foundation is starting from the bottom.
So, in my little way of understanding these things. So looking at, when you talk about the foundation, so we're talking about the building, the surface, making sure that there is a solid one before we build. Yeah. So I'm looking at, are there other components that are out of this? Because I try to imagine, I was looking at investment. Should investment be part of foundation?
Yeah, it is.
Foundation?
It is. Even in the protection, right? There's investment there, but that's a topic of another day.
That's the topic of another day.
That's the topic of another day. Even in that protection, there is also investment, but a lot of people don't know. When they hear protection, they think is somebody dying. The banks that you are putting your money, they keep their money in protection. That's where they invested it.
Before we go, I would love to ask you this question. What role does budgeting play? 2, how important is emergency funding? Can you answer that in 1 minute, please?
Yeah, budgeting is like trying to put, we help people with financial aid analysis. If you don't have that, I've helped families and I still do that. If you want that, I can assist you with that. We help you to look at your entire financial situation and recommend. That's where budgeting comes in.
So what role does it really play in the whole of this budgeting?
Budgeting, it helps you to plan what to do and what to avoid. Some people don't know their needs and their wants. They mix everything. In fact, they think their want is their need, and they think their need is their want.
So it has a huge role in playing in this component.
Oh, this component. Budgeting is very important because people just live from day to day. They just do things out of spontaneous. Some people have a lot of spontaneous buying.
What of emergency funding? How is that important?
Yeah, emergency fund is important because if you don't have, let's take a typical situation. For example, you have $1 million, for example. You use the $1 million into property. Every single dime of that $1 million, you use it to buy property. You say you have invested. Oh, that's fine. There's something happens that just needs you to get $10,000. The process of selling that house Before that money will come out, you must have died. So
Thank you so much, Mr. Iyamu. All right, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, that's our show for today. It's coming your way again in the next episode. Wow. You can't afford to miss any of these episodes, right? Thank you for being part of it. And you want to drop your messages, feel free, and then send your messages, questions, and things you would want Mr. Iyamu to actually address in the next edition. So you just place it on the comment section and drop them right there. I believe that it will get to him. And when we come, possibly, he will be answering some of those questions first and foremost before we proceed. Thank you for being part of today's show.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Business in Nigeria. It started as